Welcome to Lecture 16 on the topic of future farming technologies. This lecture is a component of the Future Farming Technologies subject, which is part of the Bachelor of Agriculture and Technology offered at both North Melbourne Institute of TAFE and Melbourne Polytechnic. Please visit our website at www.nmit.edu.au for further information on this course and other courses that we offer. My name is Dr. Nikki Cooley. In this lecture we are going to start by looking at a snapshot of current technologies. We are also going to have a look at some possible future technologies. What will farming look like in the future? This is not meant to be a comprehensive review of future farming innovations, but rather mere suggestions where we look at the advantages and disadvantages and critique adoptions. Will these strategies be taken up or not? At the end of this lecture, we will review components of the subject. This lecture will concentrate on student learning objective 1, 3 and 5. The first technology I wish to discuss is a currently used technology. It is called Digital Elevation Modelling, or DEM for short. It can also be referred to as Digital Terrain Modelling, DTM, or Digital Surface Modelling, DSM. This technology represents the Earth's surface and all objects that appear on the Earth's surface. Maps can be obtained from direct surveying or by remote sensing technologies. This technology can be and is often applied to precision agriculture. One technology that is used extensively to create DEM maps is that of LIDAR. LIDAR can be written as LIDAR, or the I can be produced in lowercase. It is a remote sensing technology that measures distance by illuminating a target with a laser light and analysing the reflected light. This gives you the image. I'd like you to pause the video here and watch the link to the following YouTube video resource. This will give you an overview of what a LIDAR image looks like. The following video is an example of both a LIDAR application and construction. It is called the magic of LIDAR 3D mapping. It is using the conservation of an area called the New Forest, which is a very old forest located in the south of England. Please watch this video and note how the LIDARs are constructed and what instrumentation are used. While you are watching this resource, please remember that much of this can be applied to agriculture. The quality of DEM is a measure of how accurate elevation is at each pixel. This is referred as absolute accuracy. The quality of DEM is also reflected by how accurate the morphology represented is, and this is referred to as the relative accuracy. Several factors can influence the quality of DEM-derived products. These include sampling density, the elevation data collection method that is used, the grid resolution or pixel size, that means how much of the area does each pixel represent. The larger the area, the more inaccuracy, potentially. The interpolation algorithm, the vertical resolution, and the terrain analysis algorithm. Reference 3D models include quality masks that give information on aspects such as coastlines, lakes, snows, clouds, correlations, and may also include pastures, streams, bores, etc. There are a number of possible applications for DEM and agriculture. And while this technology has not fulfilled its potential, I am sure with increased knowledge and ease of use for the farmer, it has great potential in the future. Some things that you may consider are modelling of the farm terrain. This will enable one to assess spatial variability of agricultural fields and their surrounding ecosystems. This allows a number of adaptations. Precision conservation management practices can be better decided upon and implemented and then monitored with DEM. DEM is able to access equipment capital investment characteristics. DEM is good to be able to estimate crop transportation components, that is, components of harvest and main transportation. DEM is able to investigate cultivation planning to mechanize activities. Thus, you can improve soil preparation, fertilization, and weed control. DEM enables the appraisal of agricultural land. For example, visualization of road slope aspect for a fixed property appraisal of lands can be used and assessed by DEM. And digital soil mapping can be significantly aided by DEM. Now I'm going to move on and look at the role of technology and research in climate change adaptation. I'm going to outline some of the possible areas where technology may aid in climate change adaptation. I'm going to look at agricultural infrastructure and technology, energy efficiency, agricultural technologies that enable labour reductions such as robots, modelling and sensing, which we've touched on extensively in the last two topics, genetics and environmental interactions, which we've also begun to explore in previous topics in this subject, nanotechnology, and, importantly, science and innovation. Let us start with an overview of climate change adaptation. So science tells us that the future agricultural production is at risk from climate change, and therefore we need to enable a number of strategies or adoptions to be able to continue production in our current manner, and also to meet future demands, both in changing markets and increasing populations. Farming may also be a significant contributor to greenhouse gas emissions. This is not all aspects of farming, just certain components of farming. The following notes on the next couple of slides are taken from Professor Richard Eckard's article in The Conversation. This article is entitled The 3 Ps of Climate Change in Agriculture. Please take your time after this lecture to read this short article. It can be downloaded from the following link, which is available on Moodle. Richard Eckard stated that complex challenges of adapting to an increasing difficult climate, while simultaneously increasing production and lowering emissions in order to meet market and social expectations, is one of the great challenges of climate change adaptation. In his article, he has identified the 3 Ps, or 3 areas that he feels that climate change adaptation needs to concentrate on. There is the physical, that is, aspects like rainfall and temperature. Then there is policy. These are such adaptations as pricing carbon and carbon farming. This is a complex and ever-evolving field. And then there is the peripheral, that is market changes and society expectations from agriculture. In this article, Richard looks at adaptation aspects. He makes a number of worthy comments, such as adjusting current practices. In order to facilitate adaptation, incremental or component adaptations will need to be made. This is such things as looking at crop and pasture varieties. I guess this will build on from the Green Revolution and using state-of-the-art molecular and current breeding trends. He also states that the timing of events is essential on farm, and looking at this closely with respect to changing climates and adaptation implementation will be important. He also notes in his article that sensing is an important component of adjusting current practices. Another component of adaptation is that of changing systems, products, and/or markets. Some examples stated was singular cropping or grazing regimes to a mixed system that may be more flexible, increasing variability or extreme seasons. Another point to consider is that of drought adaptation, particularly in Western Victoria. There is opportunistic expansion of grain cropping into areas that were previously too wet in the winter to sustain such cropping. A third adaptation aspect in this area is that can be shown by the Victorian dairy industry, where they could adapt their farming systems during the drought, moving from summer irrigated pastures to winter annual crops that are more efficient in terms of water use. And a fourth strategy stated comes from innovation in southwestern Australia. In this area there has been a clear decline in rainfall since the mid-1970s, yet wheat production has increased by 3.5% over the past 20 years. This is a rate of growth above the national average and is largely as a result of excellent research and adaptation by grain growers. And the fourth area of adaptation is that of transformational adaptation. By this we mean new products, new industries, or moving the farm business to another region. For example, there is an expansion of the wine industry occurring currently in Tasmania, as both current and future predicted climates in this area are very well suited to this industry and its quality requirements. Another area that can be explored of climate change adaptation is that of integrating the plant, the soil, and the crop management. That is, thinking of the farm as an ecosystem, rather than just the one component the commodity is centered around. Spritz 2002 published a paper on the advances to meet food security. In this, the role of agronomy on solving complexity in food production and resource problems are reviewed. The aim is to improve yields by integrating plant-soil crop management. The author suggests a number of strategies. These include technologies such as the dwarfing genes to optimize water and nitrogen. You learnt about these in the Green Revolution and the section on genetics in this subject. An integration in both time and space, that is, temporal and spatial variation. Attenuation to field and landscape level management will aid in these improvements of yield. Other areas of improving yields for climate change adaptation are that of innovations in cropping systems. The aim here could be to maximize solar interception. The technologies which may enable this are multiple cropping per year, for example introducing double and intercropping of such crops like rice and wheat. Technology, a science-based crop management support, is definitely required to enable such systems. You need to consider timing, seed rates, and external inputs adjusted for target yields. Another area of climate change adaptation to improve yields is that of the area of sustainable land use. We are beginning to understand more and more the importance of sustainable land use. The aim here would be the transition from water and nitrogen fertilizer feed systems to other systems that are more cyclic perhaps. These technologies include replacement of wheat to maize in a double cropping system in winter in drier climates. Dory et al. In 2011 stated that analysing farms and cropping systems in terms of complex networks and learning resources from the functioning of natural ecosystems is perhaps a new technological approach that could improve farming productivity. It also enables a more sustainable approach to agriculture. While Gilder et al. In 2006 stated addressing the problem of spatial and temporal differences in cropping is essential. Taking this further, if climate adaptation is going to be successful, then this is certainly an area we need to concentrate on. We have explored extensively in this subject now the technologies that enable both spatial and temporal differences in cropping. The Agricultural Model Intercomparison and Improvement Project is a large international effort that aims to link climate, crop and economic modelling communities with cutting-edge information technology to produce improved crop and economic models. This will allow the next generation of climate impact projectors for the agricultural sector. For more information, you can refer to the paper on the screen. There are two principal goals of the AGMIP. They are to improve sustainability, the characterization of world food security due to climate change, and to enhance adaptation capacity in both developing and developed countries. And secondly, the analysis of agricultural impacts on climate change variability, and change that requires a transdisciplinary effect to consistently link state-of-the-art climate scenarios to crop and economic models. So how are they going to achieve these ambitious goals? Well, crop model outputs are going to be integrated as inputs to regional and global economic models to determine regional vulnerabilities, changes to competitive advantage, price effects, and the potential of adaptation strategies across the agricultural sector. They will use the following tools: climate, crop modelling, economics and information technology team protocols, which will be presented to guide coordinated climate, crop modelling, economics and information technology research activities across the world. Along with AGMIP cross-cutting themes that will address uncertainty, aggregation and scaling, and the development of representative agricultural pathways will be used. This will enable testing of climate change adaptations in the context of other regional and global trends. Quite an ambitious project. So were the AGMIP able to do all of the things they tried to achieve? Well, there were several outcomes. They were able to establish an intercomparison of wheat model simulations near Oregon and Mexico, which revealed intermodeling differences in yield sensitivity to carbon dioxide. Model uncertainty holding approximately steady as concentrations rise, while uncertainty related to the choice of crop model increases with rising temperatures. Wheat model stimulations with mid-century climate scenarios project a slight decline in absolute yields that is more sensitive to the selection of the crop model than to the global climate model. Emissions scenario or the climate scenario downscaling method. A comparison of regional and national scale economic stimulations found a large sensitivity of projected yield and that this changes to the stimulation resolved scales. And finally, the AGMIP outcomes was a global economic model intercomparison example demonstrated that improvements in understanding of agricultural futures arise from the integration of a range of uncertainty in crop, climate, and economic modelling results in the multi-model assessments. Put simply, if you add a range of models together and you have a range of conditions, you will be able to estimate better what will or may happen in agricultural futures. Now I'd like you to have a look at the nanotechnology. Nanotechnology refers to controlling, building, and restructuring materials and devices on the scale of atoms and molecules. A nanometer is 1/1000th of a meter. To give you some kind of scaling, the human hair is about 80,000 nanometers in diameter, and the smallest thing visible to the average naked eye is about 10,000 nanometers across. At nanometer scales, the basic rules of chemistry and physics are not applicable. An example of early innovations in nanotechnology is that of the carbon nanotube, which was discovered in 1991. It is only a few nanometers in diameter, but can conduct electricity better than copper. It is 100 times stronger than steel, but only 1/6 of its weight. So let us look at some specific areas of agriculture where nanotechnology is beginning to play a role. Nanoparticles can serve as what you might call a magic bullet. They can contain a herbicide, a chemical, or a gene, which target particular plant parts to release their content. These structures allow slow, controlled release of the compound. The structure itself is a 3 nanometer mesophorous silica nanoparticle, or MSN for short. They have been shown to deliver DNA into isolated plant cells by Iowa State University scientists. MSN are chemically coated and can act as a container for the gene. The coating is clever, as it enables transport through the cell wall. The cell wall actively takes up the messenger. The mechanism is precise and controlled, and to date has shown no toxic or other side effects. This technique has been applied to the introduction of DNA successfully into both tobacco and corn plants. Nanotechnology can be applied to the area of recycling agricultural waste. The aim in the following example is to prevent agricultural waste. The example cited is that of the cotton industry. When cotton is processed into a fabric or a garment, some of the cellulose or the fibers are discarded as waste and used for low-value products such as cotton balls, yarns, and cotton baiting. With the use of newly developed solvents and a technique called electrospinning, scientists have produced a 100 nanometer diameter fiber that can be used as a fertilizer or a pesticide absorbent. These compounds are high-performance absorbents that allow targeted application at both desired times and across desired locations, thus significantly improving the efficiency of the compound. Another area of nanotechnology and recycling agricultural waste application is that of the field of maize and fuel production. Biofuel via cellulose feedstocks can be enhanced by the performance of enzymes used in the conversion of cellulose into ethanol. Nanotechnology has enabled significant efficiencies in this conversion. It has developed very small compounds that enable the efficiencies of the waste conversion. Nanotechnology could be applied to the food chain to make food production safer. At the Department of Agriculture, there has been a project to develop barcodes and nanoprocessing. This could be used to monitor the quality of agricultural produce. A small microscopic probe or nanobarcode can be used to tag multiple pathogens in a farm, which can then be easily detected using any fluorescent-based equipment. This project specifically aimed to develop a portable on-site detector, which can be used by non-trained individuals to detect contamination on food as it goes through the food chain. This is a very new, innovative and interesting technology. There are definitely possible technological advancements that nanotechnology could bring into the field of dealing with agriculture and food production issues. The applications are very vast. They're across all aspects of agriculture. It should be noted that there are some authors that have raised concerns about nanotechnology, that it may have a health and safety issue on human. I would state that we need much more research to understand this, and perhaps it's a innovation by innovation investigation. To conclude on our understanding of nanotechnologies and its impacts, I have tried to incorporate the comments of the Nobel laureate Richard Smalley. He noted that the benefits of nanotechnology are impact on health, wealth and the lives of people will be at least equal to the combined influences of microelectronics, medical imaging, computer-aided engineering and man-made polymers developed in the 20th century. This is a large claim, and if this turns out to be indeed correct, agriculture may see many benefits from this technology. I now want to spend a few slides summarizing technology. In this, we will be summarizing many of the aspects covered in this course. Firstly, it should be noted that agricultural production usually involves the management of many ecosystems, not just the commodity of interest. These ecosystems can involve management of land, the soil, the air, the crop, the animal, microbes, and commercial markets. Many of these ecosystems interact with each other, and many of these ecosystems tend to function across many hierarchical levels. This means there are great complexities in successful agricultural production. It has been shown both in the present and in the past that technology revolutionizes agriculture again and again. It is the successful implementation of technology into agriculture that enables these revolutions in this industry. Direct or indirectly, technology is enabling production efficiencies to be achieved, and this can be evidenced at all stages of food production. When technology has been successfully adopted, it can enable a competitive edge to those industries and those areas and countries that take up this technology. Research and development play a critical role in the development of technology. They play this role at all stages, from proof of concept to successful adoption of a commercial product. Successful commercialization of a technology is a complex area. There is a range of adoption successes and many complex factors that can result in industry uptake. There is also many examples of unsuccessful adoption of technology. So to summarize future agricultural technologies, I have thought about how you can reflect upon this. If I had to put one statement together about agricultural technologies that are at the cutting edge, I would say that agricultural technologies are where science meets innovation to enable increased productivity. I think I would conclude a number of components about future technologies. They may play a critical role in agriculture, although this will be dependent upon adoption and what the future requirements and needs for this industry are. It is really difficult to ascertain what the future of technology in agriculture is going to look like. It's purely unknown at this stage. But what is known is that science, innovation and uptake are essential in resolving any problem or improving any economic return in agricultural enterprises. Countries that enable this will be successful in their agricultural enterprises in the future. It is a fair question at this stage of the topic to think, is technology the answer of all agricultural challenges? Certainly across this lecture and the other lectures that we have covered, we have seen many excellent examples of technology and how they are resolving some of the complex problems that agriculture has to deal with. But I'd have to conclude that the simple answer is no. Technology is not the answer to all of agricultural challenges. It is instead part of a range of solutions that the modern-day farmer should do well to embrace, or at least articulate well, as that is the key for successful technological implementation. When you are assessing any new technology or existing technology you wish to bring into your enterprise, I'd like you to go back and to refer to this slide and the comments that it makes. So how do you assess if this technology is for you and your agricultural enterprise? Well, the first stage is good, robust, critical research. This tends to be best provided by a range of resources. I would definitely promote quantifying trust of the resource. Who's written it? Why have they written it? Has the technology been demonstrated to show the outputs that you hope to gain? Are the outputs that are shown only shown by people that hope to gain money from the technology, or have there been independent assessment of the technology? I would advocate independent assessment as critical. This can be either by the scientific community, which may comprise industry scientists or university scientists, or government agency scientists such as those at DEPI. Secondly, once you have all the research and information that you require on all aspects of the technology, including how it works, you then should critically evaluate this information. I would start by trying to understand how the technology works. It is worth the time and effort. Understand what the technology assumptions are. Does it only work in a range? Is it reliable? These sorts of questions are very critical to you understanding if it can help in your specific enterprise, in your specific climate, at your specific time of production. Does this technology have any problems? Most do have a mix of good and bad. What are these problems? Are these problems that you can adjust to, or will they not make too much of a problem for you? The reliability of the technology is critical. Can it operate in your farm environment? Farm environments tend to be robust, harsh places for technology, and therefore incorporating this into the design and getting guarantees that reflect robust design is a good thing to look at. How will your technology be implemented and installed? This again is critical. Get this wrong and you underpin all of your assumptions, there is a good chance your technology won't work. The most important question to ask is, how will your technology improve productivity and/or efficiencies? This can be difficult in some aspects to critically assess, but it is worth taking the time to do so. And that leads on to, how does this technology relate to profit increases and/or enabling new farm philosophies? In this slide, I am going to attempt to bring together not only the outcomes of this lecture, but the outcomes of the subject, a bit of a reflection of how I feel about technology in agriculture. I'd like to start by pointing out that modern farming is at an exciting time, and it is evolving at a rapid rate. This evolution, in some part, in fact a large part, is due to the changes in technologies. These changes we are not only seeing in agriculture, but seeing in our every day-to-day lives. In this subject, we have looked at a range of technologies. These have included GPS, GIS, precision agriculture, sensing, the green revolution, genetics, genetic engineering, modern breeding practices, and more niche components such as LiDAR. We've also looked at some very new and cutting-edge technologies that have not undertaken rapid uptake, such as nanotechnology. But one thing all of these technologies have in common is that they play a critical role, or will play a critical role, in modern agriculture. I have tried to present a balanced viewpoint. In presenting a balanced viewpoint, I have tried to give you an overview of the technology. I have tried to teach you how it works, what are its assumptions. It is important to understand all advantages and disadvantages, as technology is always a compromise. And most importantly, how does this technology link to the productivity and/or efficiency improvements that you are hoping to make in your enterprise? How do you make more money from it? How is your enterprise more sustainable? How is your agricultural production more efficient? It is critical to take some time to understand and try and critique these. Adoption is an important component of technology. Understanding adoption and the part it plays will help you significantly when reviewing new technologies. Thank you very much for taking the time to not only listen to this lecture, but the other lectures and tutorials that are associated with this subject. I hope you have enjoyed learning about modern technologies. This brings us to the end of this lecture and the end of this subject.